Namaskar, Jai Hind friends. Welcome to Geopolitics with Anshuman. Friends, I have a small announcement to make. From today onwards, I'll be posting videos in English language only on this channel. And for the benefits of my viewers who are interested to watch my videos in Hindi, I have another channel named Global Insights by Anshuman, where I post videos, geopolitics videos in Hindi only. So feel free to subscribe to that channel too. Now, moving ahead to today's topic, it's a very interesting one. Less than 24 hours ago, like yesterday, on Friday, July 3rd, 2026, Beijing fired an economic missile whose shock waves are hitting New Delhi and Tokyo directly. As you are all aware that a high-stakes bilateral summit concluded in Delhi between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and the Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi. Now, the bilateral summit was no ordinary. They signed a massive defense pact to co-develop next generation military hardware. Explicitly, I emphasize on this word, explicitly targeting China's aggressive expansion in the South China Sea and East China Sea. Just hours after this historic handshake, this historic summit between the Indian Prime Minister and the Japanese Prime Minister, Beijing started maneuvering behind the scenes and put both the nations, I mean Indian and the Japanese defense ministries, on high alert. What did Beijing do exactly? Beijing publicly warned India and Japan forming quote unquote exclusive small groupings. So China quietly executed a brutal economic retaliation. What did they do? They abruptly tightened global export controls on rare earth minerals. See, this is not a standard diplomatic spat. The real story is much darker. This is not just an angry rhetoric. I tell you why. Because it's a calculated resource siege inside the global supply chain. See, today in this video, I'll be explaining to you the underground war for silicon and how Beijing just pulled an economic, what should I say, kill switch to starve India's defense labs before our new weapons can even be out of from the blueprint pages. So let's break this down in simple terms. What exactly are these rare earth minerals and why should an Indian, I say emphasize on ordinary Indian citizen, why should they care about China's export restrictions? Just think about it, friends. These minerals are just like those secret spices we use in our daily kitchen. It's exactly like that. These minerals are exactly similar secret spice for the high-tech and defense industries. So elements with complex names like Neodymium, Dysprosium and Lanthanum. These may sound like any high school chemistry jargon, but remember, my friends, your smartphones, EV batteries, advanced military radars, fighter jets, and precision guided missiles literally cannot exist without them. I mean, the names of the minerals I just mentioned about. So, if you don't have these raw materials, your world class indigenous defense program remains nothing more than a piece of paper. And here is the catch, friends. China controls nearly about 90% of your global rare earth processing. Let's presume a country owns a well, but the country doesn't know how to draw water from the well. Now, what happens is China comes forward. It will tell you that I'll draw for you the water from the well. What will they come with? They'll come with a bucket, a rope, and some other equipment to draw water from the well. So the situation is similar to what I have just mentioned. The moment India and Japan signed the agreement to co-develop military hardware to counter Beijing, what did China do? China just walked away with the bucket, the rope, and the equipment to draw water from the well. So, in other terms, we can say that this is a clear message to India. You want to bring next generation weapons to challenge us? Good luck finding the new raw materials to build them. That's what China is sending the signals to New Delhi. So let's look past the diplomatic statements and let's understand what exactly Beijing meant. And why is China so deeply threatened by this specific India-Japan Defense Pact? Because this partnership combines the two things Beijing fears the most: Japanese core technology and Indian manufacturing scale. Japan holds the gold standard in semiconductor research and advanced electronics. India possesses a massive engineering base and an aggressive ambition to become a global manufacturing hub. So, if these two forces integrate seamlessly, it threatens China's decades-long industrial dominance. So, Beijing knows it cannot easily challenge this alliance through conventional military posturing without major international backlash. So, instead of sending warships to our borders, they are cutting off the, what should I say, the industrial oxygen to our manufacturing plants. So, our indigenous defense projects, whether it's our upcoming domestic drone fleets or advanced missile defense networks, they rely heavily on specialized chips and sensors. So by strangling the export of raw elements, China is trying to choke Indian defense startups and research laboratories right at the starting line. You can term it as a typical textbook case of geostrategic checkmate. Now, if you think China is inventing a new tactic here, then it's not true. Let me take you back to history. Even in the year 2010, it was one of the two countries China tried to squeeze, and that time it was Japan. Near the disputed so-called Senkaku Islands in Japan, what happened was a Chinese fishing trawler collided with a Japanese Coast Guard patrol boat. So the outcome was that the Japanese arrested the Chinese trawler captain. No missile was fired and no soldiers were marched. Instead, Beijing froze all rare earth exports to Japan overnight. And what was the result? Within days, panic hit Tokyo's high-tech electronic giants, facing a complete industrial shutdown. Japan had no choice but to back down and release the captain. So that single incident in 2010 showed the world that while Washington relies on financial sanctions, Beijing relies on supply chain chokeholds. It proved that control over raw resources can bring a technological superpower to its knees without firing a single bullet. So today in 2026, China is testing that exact same template. Friends, it reminds us of a hard truth in global politics. Controlling the supply chain is far more potent than holding a diplomatic microphone. But there's a massive twist to this plot that Beijing seems to have overlooked. India is not the vulnerable Japan of 2010, and New Delhi has been anticipating this exact bottleneck for years. India's strategy has focused heavily on diversifying its critical mineral portfolio. New Delhi has already established a solid critical minerals investment partnership with Australia and our own state-run joint venture, Khanij Videsh India Limited, KABIL. Khanij Videsh India Limited has been actively securing exploratory lithium and rare earth blocks across South America's lithium triangle and even in parts of Africa. Furthermore, domestic exploration and processing infrastructure are being aggressively fast-tracked along the coastline of Odisha and Rajasthan. So, New Delhi's operational rule is straightforward. Will not be pushed back into a corner by a single resource monopoly. If China wants to play the rare earth card, India holds significant leverage over the maritime trade routes in the Indian Ocean, through which China's own commercial lifelines flow. So the real question moving forward is, will China's resource chokehold successfully derail India and Japan's ambitions, or will it backfire and force India to achieve complete accelerated self-reliance? What are your thoughts on this issue? Let me know your perspective in the comments below. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe to this channel. Until then, Namaskar.